Of all the podcasts and all the platforms and all the internet, you walked into ours.
Yeah, this is the first episode of 2023, the start of our Humphrey Bogart month, which I'm very excited to start on, because Humphrey Bogart to me feels like one of those classic Hollywood actors that I only know like two films from. I know Treasure of the Sierra Madre and Casablanca, and that's it.
And in this month, we're going to be talking about 4 of his films, and I think you've only seen 2, right?
I think so. I mean, it's going to be interesting once we get into it, but right now, we're going to be talking about his most famous film.
Most famous, most iconic, one of my all-time favorites. Number 3 on the AFI Top 100 Films of All Time.
Yeah, and I think it's in the top 30 of the Sight and Sound 100 of all time. It's Casablanca, for those who don't know it.
Yes. Also turning 81 years this month.
Really? 81?
Yeah. And, during the time frame of this movie, it's also December. So would this make Casablanca a Christmas movie?
No. They already got Die Hard. They're not taking Casablanca.
I guess. We'll let them have Die Hard.
But yeah, so Casablanca is like the classic Hollywood film. I think it's the movie, if you wanted to ask what's a golden age Hollywood film, you would show somebody like this, Gone with the Wind, Singing in the Rain, Wizard of Oz. Like those are your category of classic Hollywood films, right?
Classic Hollywood, golden age of Hollywood. This is, the creme de la creme of golden Hollywood films.
Yeah, and I've always been kind of fascinated with Casablanca, as it's kind of been ordained as the top end of the classical Hollywood studio system. Like, this is what old Hollywood could do. Because the movie in and of itself is a pretty bare bones movie. Like, there's not a lot of action in it. It's a very talky movie. It's not even like, it sets itself up as a little bit of like a political thriller, but it's not that kind of like thrillery movie.
And it was also filmed during the Second World War, so...
Which is also another thing, because the whole theme of the movie is like imploring America to be more involved in the European theater when we're already there.
Yeah, and it was a thing where it kind of got pushed to being made because all the studios wanted to do these big epic war movies to kind of promote, hey, this is going on in the world, we want to show our patriotism, so let's make Casablanca.
I mean, that's a really interesting fact of this being a movie kind of pushed forward as a propaganda piece, because that's essentially what it's trying to be in its themes. Because I know this was also coming out with like Frank Capra's Why We Fight, which is another like American propaganda piece where, hey guys, we're going into war. Let's get this going. We need people on board and moving through. It's like Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah.
Was a big patriotic musical, like, come on boys, be proud to be Americans and go off and fight the Germans over there.
And it was a thing where even Warner of, Warner Brothers, where this was filmed at, he was going places and making speeches and trying to promote, supporting our troops and, helping people out that are being affected by the war. So, it's interesting to see how this movie comes to be and showing basically the process, because in Casablanca, we have a bunch of people that are fleeing from Nazi Germany, and they're trying to, get flights out. They're trying to hawk jewelry and do whatever they can to get to the States. And that's very much factual to history, because Casablanca was a stop on the way that people would make to Lisbon to get to the United States.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing, is the movie does kind of work as a time capsule of like American politics at the time, how like the world kind of worked at the time, because Germany was stomping across Europe, and it is true that everyone was trying to find a way out and get to America, or just like anywhere that was not Europe. And I think the movie is kind of fascinating in that sense, that it's so ingrained in that idea, because I know the writers of it pretty much experienced it. Because I know they went over into Germany in like the mid or late 1930s, like before the war broke out. And they saw how so many people in Europe were trying to basically buy their passage out, and how that kind of world worked. before we go on, I should probably tell everyone what the movie's about. You know, if you don't know.
If you don't know, do we have the back of the box?
I actually do. I actually have the actual box
Sweet.
right here. Okay, so here it is. Real quick. The romantic lover's triangle between the impossibly heroic Czech resistance fighter, Victor Laszlo, his beautiful wife, Ilsa, and her ex-lover, the cynical American, Rick. But this triangle is the hinge that the movie sets on as our club-owning expatriate Rick must decide whether or not to let the love of his life and her fugitive husband escape the Nazis in French Morocco and out of his life forever.
You know, as time goes by.
Yeah, as time goes by. Time goes by.
It does. It do that.
It be.
It be, yes.
It do.
It do.
Indeed.
Indubitably.
But yeah, so Casablanca.
Yes. Since we're talking about as time goes by, you know, the score was by Max Steiner, did a whole bunch of, you know, really epic scores and, you know, old Hollywood films. Actually, As Time Goes By wasn't written by him. It was actually written for the stage play that was never produced officially for this film.
But that song really does tell a lot of what the movie is trying to do and impart on you, is that Ilsa and Rick have this melancholy romance that it's kind of doomed. It can never really work out. And it's a really kind of sad state of affairs because you want them to get together, but you kind of know they can't get together.
It's like Vertigo. The music is so beautiful and just breaks your heart, and you want these two characters to be together, and they can never be.
That's just you. Like, Scotty is an insane person in Vertigo.
Well, yeah, by the end, because she drives him crazy.
That is not a healthy way to start your relationship.
No, it is not. But it's just, you know, another story where you want the characters to be together and you know they can't, and it's so frustrating, but you understand it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that is the beauty of Casablanca, is how it's working on this really, like, just universal basic theme of the love triangle.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in love with this person, but I can't ever, like, act on that because that person is with somebody else, and yada yada yada. But other than, you know, that, Casablanca is also about Nazis and like how Americans should go and fight the Nazis.
Yeah, I mean, there's some action in the beginning. We have Peter Lorre, who's out there killing, you know, German spies.
So he can turn a buck, yes.
Yeah.
He's also German, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, there's just a lot going on in this movie, and not just the love triangle.
Yeah, I think that's the real kind of brilliance of the movie, is it hangs its hat on this melodrama, this, like, you know, crossed lovers and this, you know, love triangle. It hangs its hat on that. But in the background is this political drama, this, like, pseudo spy thriller going on with Laszlo and the underground, and how Claude Rains' character is this corrupt police official, and he's kind of shysting his way around.
I love every scene that Claude Rains is in. When, especially, I think my favorite scene is when he shuts down the cafe because...
Oh, sir, your winnings.
Yeah, he shuts down the cafe because the
Nazis.
The Nazi, you know, the Third Reich guy, whatever his name is.
That is Caesar from Count of Dr. Caligari. He is one of the most famous actors in cinema history.
But what's his character's name? I know his Conrad Veidt.
Conrad Veidt. I believe he is fucking
Major Heinrich Strasser?
Strasser? Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, so don't call me on character names. You know I don't know these things.
Yeah, so, I mean, that has to be my favorite scene, where he's asking Claude Rains, you gotta shut down the cafe right now, and he shuts it down for gambling. And, you know, he's telling everyone, get out, and someone says, you know, oh, Captain, your winnings. Oh, thank you, and puts them in his pocket, and he's like, you know, everyone, get out. I think
that's the thing about Claude Rains, is he steals every scene he's in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is a movie with Humphrey Bogart, Peter Lorre, Ingrid Bergman, like, with noted great actors of cinema, and Claude Rains is, again, the best supporting actor to have ever done it. He steals every scene he's in. He's, like, the best part of any, like, interaction. He makes all the, like, kind of, like, not dated dialogue, but, like, classic dialogue of these Hollywood films really sing.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes to like everyone in this. I think this is one of those perfect casts, like in Back to the Future. Like, I think Back to the Future is a perfect cast.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one in that movie that you could replace with another actor and it would be as good. It is the best it can be. This is the same thing. I can't see anyone else playing these roles. Like, I can't see a Henry Fonda type playing Rick.
No.
I can't see Jimmy Stewart playing Rick. I can't see James Cagney playing Rick. I can only see Humphrey Bogart playing Rick.
I mean, there were these weird rumors that Ronald Reagan was supposed to be Rick. I don't know how that got shopped around, but people were saying, oh yeah, it was supposed to be Reagan and someone else was supposed to be Ilsa, and no one could really find where that started or where it came to be. But I was like, yeah, Reagan was a good actor, but he didn't have the Bogart, this is where you need, like, oh, he's the tough guy that owns the cafe, doesn't really hang out with the customers. He's all about just him, and then we see who Bogart, or, we see who Rick really is once Ilsa steps into the picture, and he's helping people. He helps the young couple.
You are very kind telling me that Ronald Reagan was a good actor.
But
he was a adequate actor at best.
Well, he was cute. Young Ronald Reagan was cute.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, I feel like we could do like a shop list of actors you wouldn't think the Boo finds cute, but there's a lot of them. But like, really, young Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Really.
That's why I was kind of like you were saying, this cast is perfect. And, down to, people that we just see for a fraction of time, like Peter Lorre, it's like, I can't think of anyone replacing him and being, someone else for that character.
Well, the thing is Peter Lorre is so good at playing a scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
He might be the best scumbag in cinema, like at least this stage of cinema, like, because with everyone in this cast, even the small roles, they all work. And it's the other thing, like Ingrid Bergman, I cannot think of another actress that would be as good as Ingrid Bergman, because she is, like, I think she's Swedish or Danish.
She is. She's Swedish.
Yeah, and so she already comes in with that built-in, like accent and how she acts, and it's not American, and it does feel like, oh, these are people that met in France. This is an expatriate and a woman of a foreign land, and they meet and fall in love in this whirlwind romance. And I think that goes into kind of the theming of the movie, because I'm pretty sure Humphrey Bogart's the only actual American actor in a speaking role.
In this movie?
I think so.
Him, Dooley Wilson, and there's another actor. There were like only 3 American actors in this movie.
Yeah, because like Rick, that's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Dooley Wilson, he plays Sam, which obviously there. But I don't think there's anyone else. Oh, maybe Joy Page, right? Because she was the girl.
Yeah.
That Rick kind of helps because Renault's getting a little too too Weinstein-y over there trying to get them papers.
But
I think that goes in with the themes, because since they're the only Americans, and the whole film is basically hinged on the Americans have to get involved to defeat the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally like the movie's point is, hey, America, I know it's hard out there. Rationing's hard. Getting by in these 9-to-5 times, but we gotta go over there and fight the good fight,
Yeah,
raise
and
the flags and beat the Nazis.
I mean, a big part of that too was, also set design. The only thing that was actually made for this movie was Rick's Cafe. Everything else was borrowed from Warner Brothers, because a lot of stuff from Warner Brothers was being sent out to the war effort. So it was this thing where they were like, okay, we really got to get this cafe down and looking beautiful. And everything else is going to go, boards, metal, whatever we can is going to get sent out to help these people, with the war. But an interesting, when we're talking about, the Americans and people from other countries in this film, Ingrid Bergman, kind of...
Yes, the pretty one.
Yes, she actually struggled with, taking this role on, because she is Swedish, and she was kind of worried, okay, I'm doing this, film against Nazis. What if they go after me or the people of my country? Well, and it was...
I'd be afraid if they go after her family. They're still over Europe.
That too. So her and Paul Heinrich, because he's also... I forget what part of the world he's from. I don't think he's from Sweden.
He's Austrian British American.
Yeah, he's Austrian. So it was just this thing of,
Would it be hard for the Nazis to probably find his cousins?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see it in that light, compared to, oh, I don't want to be typecast versus, no, these people might actually go after me or my family and kill them because I took on a movie role. And it kind of goes with their characters in the movie where, they're putting up the good fight for the little guys against the big enemy that's coming after them.
Yeah, and man, like I'm looking at this cast because we have it pulled up over here, right? And it's one of those things where a lot of these actors we're seeing, it's like kind of insane how good they are.
Yeah.
Because basically everyone in this list are people that would go on to have like insanely like memorable careers. Like Peter Lorre is in like he's in this. He's in like all those like Roger Corman Poe movies.
Arsenic and Old Lace.
Humphrey Bogart's like again one of the classic Hollywood, leading man who's the gruff, angry guy.
Yeah.
Ingrid Bergman, as again I said, she's the pretty one.
Yeah.
She's the pretty one of, at least 30 years of Hollywood.
But also a very talented actress.
Incredibly talented actress. And like you have Claude Rains in here, Conrad Viet, like there's like really good people in this movie. But I wanted to ask you, who is your like standout? Who's because I know we mentioned Claude Rains because he steals every scene he's in, but putting Claude Rains aside, the MVP of all supporting actors in Hollywood, who is your standout in this movie? Who's your favorite?
I mean, for the longest time, it was Rick because, it's Bogey. He is, this heartbroken, and I'm just, I have.
You have a thing for heartbroken emo boys in the 1940s?
I do. It's just, don't get too close to me. I've been hurt too many times. I can't go through it again.
Oh my god. Rick is an emo boy.
He is.
My god.
He's spoken to me for such a long time. But
Sam, don't play Mad World. You can play it for her. You can play it for me.
No. We're going to listen to My Chem.
Oh god. Rick would be somebody who would listen to My Chemical Romance when he's sad.
No, I don't think he would.
Yeah, he's sitting there. He's like, Sam, play Black Parade just for me, please. So bad.
Then you hear that middle C on the piano. Fuck yeah.
So bad. I fucking hate My Chem.
I love them so much.
But yeah.
I think my standout has to be Ingrid Bergman in the movie.
Okay. I had always thought that she had a lot smaller role than she did. Because I think I mentioned I haven't seen Casablanca in a long time.
You said what, like 10 years?
At least, something like that. And even when I saw it, it was probably like on TV.
Yeah.
But I remember this was being the Humphrey Bogart movie. Like that was it was his show.
Yeah.
But she is way more of like a driving force and a motivated character, and like she pulls a fucking gun on Rick and is like, yeah, I love you, but I'll shoot you because I need to like get the fuck out of Casablanca. And it's like, and she can't, but she wants to, but she's like still in love with him, and it's a really powerful performance out of her.
And it's not even a selfish reason of, her getting out of Casablanca. It's, I need to get these letters out of here to help more people. And it's just, that's why I, watching it again, it's like, I love her character so much because she's just good. She's doing good. I mean, when her and Rick are together and you could see the signs where they're not going to end up together and he's not seeing it. And it's just tearing her apart. And she's just trying to, keep it together because she doesn't want to break his heart.
I mean, as soon as you understand who Victor Laszlo is and what he actually is, because, she's talking about it and she's saying, oh, Laszlo, he saved me, he's made me better than I am, and all these other things, and she builds him up as this great human being, right? But we never really get to see him be that great human being, really. We see him get to play a little bit of spycraft, and then a little bit of him running away from the Nazis, but like we don't really see him as what
he's described today.
Yeah, what Elsa envisions.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because I think that sets up for us as the audience to just always be on Rick's side.
Mhm.
And then when we see Rick say, yeah, no, he isn't as good as Elsa thinks he is,
Mhm.
but with Elsa, he might be.
Yeah.
And that's why he lets her go. And I think that's a really poignant thing where he decides to do the greater good.
Mhm.
And yeah. I like this movie. This is
Me
really
too.
nice.
It breaks my heart every time, but it's just it's so good.
What do you mean? You get a buddy cop thing going on at the end.
Yeah.
Hey, Renault, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Which, I'm surprised there was no buddy cop sequel. I know there was an
No.
alternate ending for this movie that never got shot, I guess, because it went over budget.
Mhm.
Where it was the two of them storming into Africa to like liberate like villages against the Nazis. Like that's like an actual thing.
Huh.
That was going to be the actual ending, and Jack Warner was like, "You're over budget, and it would ruin the ending, so it's not happening."
Yeah, I think the ending is perfect the way that it is.
It's strong ending. Pretty good ending. You know, the 3 out of 5. It's solid. You know,
I'm gonna go with 4.5 out of 5 because
could be better.
could be better. Laszlo could have left and Ilsa could have stayed with Rick forever, and they could have been happy.
But that would have like totally gone against what the whole movie is.
I know. That's why I give it 4.5 out of 5.
But speaking of sequels that should never happen, I know this movie because we
God.
talked about this before we started recording, because there is like people have this assumption that classic works of cinema never got defiled by the business side of cinema.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I can't believe they're gonna remake Indiana Jones or anything like that. Oh, they would never do that to other great movies. I'm like, there's 5 Jaws sequels.
No, but I mean, also of this time era, there's like the Thin Man movies.
Oh, there's like fucking a dozen of them.
But you have like at least the main leads that come back for the sequels. So you get like the Thin Man, and then they get married, and then they have the baby. So you see the progression of time.
Yeah.
And it's more or less the same cast, so you don't feel like, oh wow, they just really tore it apart in the second sequel.
Well,
or
I
the
mean,
third.
And I get what you mean by that, and I know like the Jaws movies, like only the wife character came back for any of the sequels. I know Michael Caine's in the 4th one, but there's also stuff like there's Return to Oz, like a sequel to Wizard of Oz, and it's like, that's a great movie. Why is there sequels to that? Need I go on with Godfather Part 3? Or like all these movies where, oh, those are classic great works of cinema and they all have sequels. How is it that Casablanca dodged that bullet?
It doesn't need it.
I know it doesn't need it, but Jaws didn't need a sequel either.
I agree, that did not need a sequel either.
It didn't need 5 of them.
It did not.
I'm wondering how the Hollywood machine just passed over Casablanca, because the ending kind of sets up for a sequel.
It sets up, but it also, kind of leaves you to your own imagination. One of these films where we don't really get closure, which would piss me off because I love having, closure. But, for this movie, I like to envision Ilsa and Laszlo go off and they continue to do more good, and Rick and the captain are there in Casablanca and they continue to help more people escape. So it really lets you kind of be creative in your own way. But we did have Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, and Paul Heinrich, actually reprise their roles of their characters from this movie.
Oh, I know this one. It was for like some BBC radio broadcast or something like that?
Yeah, it was for CBS.
Okay.
And it was the Screen Guild Players, and it was a war benefit show in April of 1943. So it's interesting. It was kind of like Rebecca, where the actors came back and they reprised their roles, for radio, and in this instance to help, war efforts.
Well, that was a thing that I don't know if a lot of people realize about kind of this era of Hollywood was there wasn't TV, right? And
no,
you couldn't like show a movie on TV to syndicate it and make more money. Like movies would play in a theater for 6 months to a year, however long they would play. But if you wanted to like get it out to the people, you would sell these like radio shows to like these radio people, and they would do the radio plays and performances. And it's a lost art that doesn't exist in America anymore.
No.
But in England, it's a huge thing. They still do
Yeah.
Doctor Who radio plays over there.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are pretty good. But that's like just a fascinating thing. That's a relic of old Hollywood. But again, the sequel thing, because I know there has to be at least one attempt that they tried to make one.
Well, there's two.
There's two?
There's two. There's the one that we were discussing and we'll talk about right now. But there's one that they officially consider a sequel to this movie. And it was a book that came out in the 90s. And I think it's As Time Goes By. And that's supposed to be like the true sequel to what happens after this film.
Really?
So I'm going to see if I could hunt down the book, kind of figure out what happens in that, and maybe judge for myself if I'm content with that being
a continuation.
Or I'm just going to keep, Casablanca the way it is in my heart.
I'd say this movie probably, again, as you said, doesn't need a sequel, but I am very interested to see what the rights owners would consider a worthy sequel.
Yeah.
But the other one that we kind of mentioned,
which was a surprise to me because I love this movie. I try to watch documentaries about the making of this movie whenever I can. But I was completely floored when I saw this, and I don't know if this is something that you'd known for a while, or this was brand new to you too.
I will say that this was also a surprise, because, again, I'm always under the assumption there was a sequel to Casablanca that I just didn't know about, or there was an attempt to make one that just never went through.
Yeah.
But I was surprised at who was connected to this one.
Yeah.
Who's going to play Ilsa?
So in the early 2000s, Madonna had the idea that she wanted to, I think, remake the film. Yeah, remake the film with her being Ilsa and Ashton Kutcher being Rick.
Wait, I didn't know about Ashton Kutcher.
Uh-huh.
Ashton Kutcher as Rick.
I mean, I love Ashton Kutcher, but I'm just like...
I mean, early 2000, it's Ashton Kutcher. I mean, that's like the top end of his star power, right? Like that that 70s show, or like that era, that's probably like the top end of his career. And Madonna, I would feel like mid 2000s or early 2000s.
It says mid.
Mid 2000s.
Mid
2000s Madonna. That is I don't think that's premium star power Madonna. I think that's like the decline Madonna.
This is, I think, after the VMA's Kiss.
Oh, was that okay?
Because I think that was early, so this is mid.
Because I know she had a huge, like, basically, public backlash after, like 9/11, and she released, like, some music video stuff that everyone thought was, in poor taste, we'll say.
Maybe. I don't know.
I
mean, I like Madonna's music, not all of it. I'm not, like, a huge fan or anything.
Are you a Material Girl? A fan of the Vogue?
Well, I mean, how can you not like Material Girl, Vogue,
Like a Virgin?
Like a Virgin.
See, I can't name a lot of Peter Lorre movies, but I can go through some Madonna tracks.
I guess, but I mean, it's just, so we have her mid-2000s, and it's like, so Ilsa would be older than Rick in this remake, because Rick's older than Ilsa in Casablanca.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, like, Madonna's always been one of those people that's looked kind of young. Again, not in not in the year of our Lord 2023, but like in 2000 whatever. You put enough makeup on her, she could probably pass a little bit younger, but not like as young as 20 something, 30 something Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, it's like no, because that's how we get Ilsa in this movie, where you could tell that she is so much younger than Rick. And they have that whole scene where they're talking about, oh, what were you doing 10 years ago? And she goes, oh, I was getting braces. What about you? And he was like, oh, I was getting a job. So
yeah, Ashton Kutcher, what were you doing 10 years ago? He was like, I was in high school. What were you doing? She was like, I was on my third marriage. Just released, my 5th #1 single. Just living my best life.
A mountain of Grammys.
Yeah. Oh, so, you must have hit real young. No, mid to late 20s. Like she says as she starts knitting him like a sweater in her old lady glasses.
Yeah, but it was a thing where she was really determined to do this and took this to like just about every studio, and every studio was like, nope. They looked at it, and I don't know who was quoted as saying this, but it says the film is deemed untouchable.
But I think that's one, that's true.
Yes.
Like, Casablanca is actually considered one of the greatest movies of all time, and that's like a wide-standing opinion. That's not like pretentious film critics. That's like
No.
like normal audiences. That's even like, directors think it's a great film, critics think it's a great film, audiences think it's a great film, everyone thinks it's a great film.
And you know how it truly is a great film? When the actors that are making the film at the time don't think it's going to be a great film. Bogart said it, I don't remember which actor he said it to, but he goes, I am stuck in the worst picture I've ever, had to, make, or it's going to release. And it's like, it's, gone on for so many movies where actors are just like, oh man, this thing is going to tank. And then it comes out and it's just a masterpiece.
I mean, Paul Heinrich thought this was going to sink his career.
Yeah.
He thought when he did it, everyone would think he couldn't act, because in all the scenes he's in, he's like, oh, I just have to play the stoic, like, guy? You mean I don't emote in any scene I'm in? Oh my god, everyone's going to think I'm a non-actor. And then he's like, oh no, you're like the linchpin of the entire story. But,
and Ingrid Bergman actually said that Paul Heinrich was a prima donna.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because he had something against Bogart. He was like, oh yeah, this American whatever. And
he was probably like, I'm way more handsome than that Bogart fellow. I mean, look at this sick scar and this cool streak of white hair in my makeup.
I mean, it is pretty cool. But Ingrid Bergman's like, yeah, him, prima donna. And then she's like, how did I study up for this film and getting to know Bogart? She's like, I watched The Maltese Falcon over and over and over again just to pick up on who this man is. And it's like, even if you watch that, he's still, he's got like a bunch of mysteries just locked up in there.
I think that's the great thing about the Bogart acting. And we're going to get into that because this is Bogart month.
Yeah.
But Bogart, in every role, at least I've seen him in, he seems like a guy that just carries a lot of baggage just from how he looks. He looks like a guy that's lived a life, that's had like a lot of affairs that have ended poorly. He's had a lot of jobs that he had to drop. He looks like somebody who's been in a fight one too many times. He looks like a guy that's lived a life, which is surprising because I think in real life he was like some like snooty rich kid growing up, and then you can look that up. His name is Humphrey Bogart. His family was balling out of his mind growing up. He was a rich kid growing up.
No, I mean, he was in the Navy at a really young age. He used to, interesting. We'll get into this, with the chessboard in the movie. But I guess apparently he was really good at chess. And when he was a kid, he would bet, other people, hey, I'll play you chess for like a penny or 2 pennies. And they would think, oh, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. And he'd be like, no, sucker, I know chess like nothing else. And just, he would basically go around and, make deals and kind of, I'll play you, and just, walk out with however much money he would make. So, which ties in with this movie and him in the casino. And, the house can afford to take that today. We'll do that. Let me help you out.
Which, my favorite scene in the movie, when he gives in, when he actually decides to stick his neck out for somebody.
Yeah.
And that's like the influence of Elsa, and that's my favorite scene in the movie.
But even before that scene, when Peter Lorre's character is taken away by the Nazis, and he's kind of like, my hands are tied, I can't help you, but it's in his eyes that you can see that he is just kind of heartbroken that he can't help a friend out.
Because Rick sticks his neck out for no one.
For no one. But it's just, that's the genius of Bogart, where he, he can act with just his eyes. You get so much emotion.
Oh, yeah. I know we kind of moved on from it, but I really wanted to round back to this, like, just real quick. Like,
Madonna?
Real quick. Yeah, the Madonna thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ashton Kutcher, that's a non-starter, right? Who do you think could have played Rick if this movie got into screen? Because I have one person
in
that
2000s.
Sure, we'll go with it. We'll go with at the time. I have one person that I think could have done it, but I don't know if it would have been too obvious of a choice.
I think I have somebody too, but I don't know how good his American accent is.
Ooh, a foreigner. I see. Okay,
you go.
George Clooney.
Okay, that would be good.
The whole reason is because he seems like somebody who could play this kind of classical Hollywood role. And that, again, that's like the whole crux of the joke of Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers movie, is oh yeah, George Clooney just looks like a guy that would be a famous 40s movie star.
Yeah.
And I think he could do it. I've seen him play these kind of characters with chips on their shoulder that
looks great in a tux.
Looks good in a tuxedo. Watch Batman if you don't believe me. He doesn't look good in the bat suit, but hey, he looks good in a tuxedo.
Bat nipples.
Bat nipples. That's are you ready for Batman month this year when we get to talk about all the bad Bat sequels?
Well, I mean, are we doing a Batman month? There's no new Batman movie coming out.
That's true. That's true.
I wish there was.
Then we could talk about Bat nipples.
We could.
But I think George Clooney could have done a pretty good Rick if they want to keep Madonna in, because I think that age difference is closer.
Yeah.
So that would have looked better. But that's what I'm feeling.
That's interesting. I like that choice.
Yeah. What about you? Because you picked somebody non-American for
No.
the most American of roles.
Yes, for Rick's American Cafe.
Yes.
I was actually thinking Liam Neeson.
Ooh, that would have been interesting.
Because he's got that kind of dark brooding about himself.
It's true.
And
I've seen his American accent though. It's rough in places. Granted, my exposure is Darkman, where
that
he
movie's
slips in and out of it.
From what, the 90s?
It was his first American role. It was the movie he made with Sam Raimi before he did Schindler's List, like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? You are Liam Neeson's talent agent, and you're like, look, Liam, baby, I know the last time you were in America, you were in this weird gonzo superhero movie that kind of didn't do well and made you look like a schmuck, but I got one for you, Schindler's List.
Oh,
no
God.
one's gonna make fun of you and say, "Oh, Darkman saves the Jews." I swear, Liam, it's gonna be fine.
Oh, Schindler's List just really, just tears your heart apart.
Never seen it.
Oh,
it's one of those movies that's on the list to watch because everyone says it's Spielberg's best movie, and I'm gonna watch it eventually. But
don't
I've
watch
never
it; it's gonna break your heart. I mean, I saw it in high school in my history class, and we actually had to have permission slip signed to watch it. And I was just like, really? We gotta, have our parents, okay it that we're watching a movie, and then all of us are sitting in class. Yeah, I don't think there was a dry eye in the class.
Do you know what movie I had to get a permission slip signed for my history class?
I think I know. I think you've told me this before. Wasn't it with Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, Saving Private Ryan?
Yes.
No, it wasn't Saving Private Ryan. It was Gladiator.
Gladiator.
In my history class, we were doing ancient history. This is like in middle school, and my teacher was like, "Hey guys, get your permission slip signed. We're gonna watch a movie that's totally gonna show you what like life was like in Rome, and it's gonna be all cool." Because like you could probably guess like the year I was in middle school for this. But no, my teacher just really wanted to watch fucking Gladiator. I
mean, that's another good movie.
Gladiator's a banger, and so many people just do not like that movie, and I don't know why. Well, it's okay, do not like that movie, but it's a Ridley Scott movie. Ridley Scott made Aliens, Blade Runner, like a bunch of great movies, and people are like, I mean, it's like okay for a Ridley Scott movie, but it's not great or nothing. And I'm like, guys, like, we get it. He made fucking Blade Runner. Just Gladiator's a good movie. I like Gladiator.
So do I.
It has the Joker in it.
It does.
And the Joker is fighting, not fat Russell Crowe. It was a very short window we had of ripped Russell Crowe.
Right. So, yeah, that was my, 2000s pick for Rick. Liam Neeson.
I think that works pretty well. I think there's also an interesting facet, because would this be a period drama? Would it still be World War II? Would it be updated for the Iraq conflict that was going on?
No, this is a remake, so I'm assuming we're gonna
1941 or whatever.
We're gonna go back to the 40s and just redo this in color. I
can't see this in color either.
Yeah, because on here it says she pitched the idea, so there's no script. So there's nothing floating out there, in the deep web of a Madonna Casablanca script. That we know of.
That was when Madonna realized she wasn't famous enough anymore. when she's like, "You mean I was able to get what is it, Bathtubs of Broadway greenlit on name alone, but you won't let me get this movie? What the hell is this?"
Because all of film lovers in society was like, absolutely not. We have done remakes for just about everything else, not this movie. Never.
But yeah, Casablanca is great.
It is.
I also, when you said they were going to redo it in color, and
I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, I made the comment that this movie is fucking beautiful for the black and white stuff because it uses those, like, noir shadows and it's using those, like, deep focus. It looks like a movie that's like 10 years ahead of its time.
And it's actually a reason why we don't see Bogart wearing a hat too much in the movie, because they don't want people to feel like, oh, we're watching a Bogart noir movie. He's a gangster in this movie. And it's just like, it's like, it's so beautifully shot. I think one of my favorite scenes of the movie is when Rick's drinking alone and he's having that moment and Ilsa opens the door and the spotlight just hits her from the back and just illuminates her. And you've got the contrast of the bright white light, the darkness of the club, and she's, in that white headscarf, and it's
so moody and atmospheric. It's the dark night of the soul.
And for him, it's like, it's this angel that's, just showed up, and he's just, I've been in the dark for so long, and she's here, she's back.
Ah, man, the visual language of this movie is also just, like, on point.
Yeah.
Because I know the director, what is it, Michael Curtis?
Yeah, Michael Curtis.
Because he directed like a couple of like S tier movies, right? Like, I know he wasn't a slouch.
No, I think he's Hungarian.
I believe so. Yeah, he's a Hungarian director. He directed, Casablanca, Mildred Pierce, Yankee Doodle Dandy, White Christmas, Angels 30 Faces. Like, he has a pedigree, right? But he was one of these directors that kind of got known as, oh, he's a director that has, like, no genre.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like David Lean that got known as, oh, he's the epic director. If you need a 3-hour movie to look more expensive than most countries, you get David Lean.
Yeah.
Or it's not like Lucas after Star Wars, where, oh, he's the guy that does the big sci-fi movies. He only does Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or like Coppola or Scorsese, where they make really good gangster movies, so they're just gonna make gangster movies.
John Carpenter, sci-fi, horror,
genre films, things like that. But he was a director that got known as being like, didn't really confine to a specific genre. Like, Casablanca is a melodrama, Yankee Doodle Dandy is a musical, White Christmas is another like musical, but it's an army flick. Angel 30 Faces is a gangster movie. Like, he worked in a lot of genres for like early Hollywood.
It's just interesting to see the scale of him, because I mean, you see Casablanca and that is iconic in its own way. Yankee Doodle Dandy, it's this really big, larger than life movie. And then White Christmas, it's in color, and you've got Bing Crosby, and it's just larger than life. It's like, wow, this all came from the same person. He's got so much versatility to him.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get to, because in Casablanca, you really need kind of a chameleon-like director to make this, because you have to balance these very specific beats, right?
Yeah.
Because it is a romantic melodrama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at its heart, that's what it is. It's a romantic melodrama that's implementing tropes of the spy political thriller, that's also using noir chiaroscuro lighting in certain sections.
Yeah.
Then you also are utilizing a musical motif, and you have to direct that so the musical sections don't feel like a pop gumball musical. And you're not only doing that, you're transposing that with this being a war film without showing any battles. Like, we see not the conquering, I guess, but the takeover of Paris.
Yeah.
And we never see a gun. We never see a Nazi like stomping into Paris. They're just announcing the Gestapo in German, but we don't see anybody.
We see the tanks and the soldiers walking through the countrysides as they're making their way to Paris. But we get the big trucks with the Gestapo that's making the announcements that they're miles away. This is happening. Basically, get ready.
Exactly. And he's even melding in some newsreel footage to like even sell it a little bit harder. And it's so interesting because if you gave this movie to, like, Frank Capra, it would be a totally different movie.
Yeah.
It would be a lot more, like, chipper, upbeat. You would have a lot more of like, that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. Like, they probably get together at the end of this
Yeah.
Frank Capra movie. Or if this was, like, a Hitchcock film, like, the romantic melodrama would be an afterthought to the political thrills he can get out of Renault and the sergeant, Renault and the major, doing their cat and mouse, like, back and forth with these papers. Like, I feel like you needed someone like Michael Curtis as the director here to really sell it.
Yeah, and he was also very in touch with details too. It wasn't just, okay, make it pretty or make it, dark and noir and, gritty. It's just he really had his hand in everything. And there was a funny story that I read about him that, with his deep Hungarian accent, people kind of had a hard time understanding what he was saying. So he had told one of, like, the set designers, for this scene, I want a poodle for this scene. So this guy leaves for an hour and comes back and he's like, where have you been? And he goes, well, I went around. I couldn't find a poodle anywhere. And he goes, no, I wanted a poodle of water so we could reflect, something out of the puddle of water. And I was just like, oh, bruh, this is fucking awesome.
You just love you love all those misunderstandings because of accent gags.
I mean, they're funny.
They are funny.
I love...
It's classic Marx Brothers.
Yeah, but I love seeing, just those little details of humor, but also, yeah, from a photographer standpoint, if you have a puddle of water that you're reflecting something off of, it makes a building or a scene that much more beautiful.
I mean, the greatest example of that is Carol Reed's The Third Man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, why does this movie look so good? It's probably the same reason why it's constantly covered in dripping water all over the cobblestones. Light reflects really well off of wet stone, wet ground. It adds dabs. It makes everything look way moodier. But I think that's something I want to just point out about, Michael Curtis, this chameleon-like director.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I'm overstating that, but he was a really good director. I mean, he made Casablanca, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And the other, the other point that I kind of wanted to get to while we're, fuck me, we're kind of getting kind of deep into this episode. The other point I kind of wanted to bring up about the movie is that this movie is kind of taught as the perfect screenplay, the perfect structure. Because you have the perfect setup that tells you everything you need to know about the characters. Rick's like, I stick my neck out for no one, and that sets up, well, the whole point of the movie is, will he stick his neck out to save the woman he loves and
the man that she loves.
And the man that she loves. But then that's the thing. Oh, if he doesn't save the woman, then her husband is going to get taken away and he'll have her.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's an interesting tweak in the plan, and as that develops with these supporting characters and the world around Casablanca, that's the thing about the movie that's so brilliant, is the structure and how it builds its story. And I wanted to know your thoughts on the movie, as the screenplay, as it were.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a really strong screenplay. You could see where, like, if Hitchcock were to take this over, yeah, he'd totally let something happen to Laszlo so that the two of them could be together, and then you would later find out how he kind of compromised Laszlo and the characters would fall apart.
There'd be a thrilling chase to get to the airport as they're running from the Nazis.
Which we do get. But it was just
sorta.
kind of like, it's Casablanca, it's not that big. How is it taking you this long to get to the airport?
He was going from across town, had to stop, get a coffee or something.
He hit all the red lights, just couldn't get there on time. It was one of those nights. But yeah, it's just one of these movies where you could see, I could act on that bit of selfishness to make myself happy. But it's, I gotta do what's right in, my heart, what's right for her, and basically what's right for the world. And it's just, hits me in the feels.
You gotta get on that plane, kid. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Yeah, I can't do a good Bogart. I'm going to work on it as the month goes on to try and, hone down my Bogart impression. But yeah, and then you're going to get a lot of, Peter Griffin.
See?
Yeah, look here, see, I can do, oh god, Edward G. Robinson. I can do Edward G. Robinson, look here, see, yeah, like, I can do that. Can't do Bogart.
No, I mean, Bogart's got a unique voice.
I mean, it's a 3-pack a day, East Coast voice. It ain't that hard. But back to Casablanca.
Yes. Interesting. So remember we're talking about Psycho and how the first scene filmed was Janet Leigh in the bed with Sam Loomis, and they had just met, and it was like, you need to basically fake this chemistry, even though you guys have just really met and we're getting into this really intimate scene.
Yeah, that was in our Psycho episode from last month.
Yeah. So in this movie, the first scene that was filmed was actually the Paris flashback scene of the two of them in love in Paris.
You see, now that makes sense, because you need them to have a foundation of this loving romance and this intimate relationship before you see Casablanca, and then they have to act like that loving relationship was over, and now it's only just now rekindled. Like, that actually is, like, good, well, I guess, pacing or direction to get the actors involved.
Yeah, because, by that time, when we've seen them and this relationship is so strained, and even though it's been years, the passion is still there, even though Rick is still incredibly angry that she broke his heart. But it's just interesting to see that, they don't really know each other, and they're thrown into, you're in love, and, everything is so bright and so beautiful, and, oh no, your husband is actually still alive, and you have this conflict of, do I go back to my husband, or do I stick with this guy that I'm really in love with? And it's just like, wow, that's kind of cool to see the parallels of these two scenes.
There's a lot of parallels in the movie that I think work very well. But we are getting to about an hour into this. Is there anything else you wanted to get to before we wrap up?
I mean, it brought up the funny story. There's a lot of, things that this movie is on the AFI Top 100 list, because, I mean, AFI has lists for a billion things.
Yeah, I really wish they would release their Top 100 all-time list. I mean, the last one they did was, like, 2007, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and I know Sight and Sound does one, like, every 10 years. And this one is on the Sight and Sound Top 100 list, both the critics and directors.
But this movie has 6 quotes on the Top 100 list.
Okay, I'm gonna take a shot.
All right, let's see if you can do it.
Okay. Here's looking at you, kid. Obviously, that's on there.
Yeah, that's number 5.
I stick my neck out for no one.
Let's see. No.
No? Oh, God. Is it maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon for the rest of your life? Like his closing line, I guess.
Only one line.
Okay. This looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship?
Yeah, that's number 28 on the list.
Okay, fuck. How many? So I have, 2 left, 3 left?
Let's see. You had, Here's Looking at You, Beautiful Friendship, and the last big monologue of the movie. Yeah, you have that, so you have 2 left.
Shit. Play It Again, Sam? But no, that's not actually in the movie.
No, it's on the list, but that's not how it's phrased. It's the Mandela effect.
Yeah, because it's not Play It Again, Sam. It's Play It For Me, Sam.
It's Play It, Sam.
Play it
as time goes by. That's on the list at 28.
Okay, so I got one more.
You have 2 more.
2 more? Fuck me. There's gotta be some fucking major ones I'm missing.
Well, one major one that we hear all the time now. Round Up the Usual Suspects.
That's from... Okay, I know it's from this movie. I watched the fucking movie. But is that really the first time that's been used?
I think maybe it's just the first time it's been used in a big movie.
Oh, it's the most famous version of it?
So it's kind of like, oh, cool, let's use that in ours. But also, how we started this episode. Of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the world,
she had to walk into mine. Which, okay, I was watching something and they talked about that in Casablanca. And that is a very noted thing about Rick's character. Because in all the gin joints, in all the world, she had to walk into mine. Because of course she had to walk into Rick's. If she ever wanted to get out of Europe, she would have to walk into Rick's cafe.
Yeah.
Because he set himself up to where if she ever tried to leave, he would see her again.
Yeah.
It's like he lost her, and he has done everything in his power to set up a situation where if the girl he has always loved ever tries to leave Europe, he will be there to find her. Because he will wait for her. And I think that's another beautiful thing about that line that's, again, goes in the script, the double meaning, and is the setup for his character, you know? He sticks his neck out for nobody, but he'll wait forever for Elsa.
Which is why we get the final quote from the end of the movie, "We'll always have Paris." And that's why it's so important, they finally get to say goodbye to each other. It's not, I couldn't say goodbye because it was going to kill me, and I know you wouldn't have let me go. But they have, we'll always have Paris, and if we didn't, we have it now. And it makes that scene much stronger, and just showing Rick, you know what? Your wife was never in love with me. She just did this to get the letters to save you, even though the two of them know. The love is very much there, but you're better off in a safer place than here with me.
This is a great movie.
It is.
We're starting the year off right with Casablanca.
How could we not?
But what are we watching next week?
Next week, we are watching a film that Dean has not seen yet.
Oh, there's a few of those.
There is, but this one's a big film. Hopefully Dean likes it. It is The African Queen.
Okay, I've never seen this movie. I know Bogart and Katharine Hepburn are in it.
That's correct.
And that is all I know about it. I know literally nothing about the story. I don't know who the African Queen is. But if anybody wanted to watch that or listen to that episode, where could they go?
If you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube. We release video versions of these podcasts every week in my slideshow style because I'm too lazy to record these. And you can like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think. But if you wanted to follow us on social media, where can they go?
You can find us on Instagram at the Film Club Podcast, where we post daily stories, upcoming episodes, trivia, and our random adventures that we go on.
And with that,
here's looking at you, kid.
See you next week at the Film Club.